Hello, everyone, and welcome to our last nutrition session. I just want to let you know that we are recording this to put on our website for you guys to access later. So if you don't want to be recorded, please turn your camera off. And I will let Rihanna take it away.
Thanks, Erin. It's nice to see everyone again for our very last session, which is so crazy. I was just saying to Erin before we hopped on here that it seems like it went by so quickly. But yeah, so I'm happy to be here and to wrap this up with our final topic. So, like Erin said, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can either put them in the chat or just write them down or just remember them for afterwards, and we'll leave some time for questions after I'm done speaking. So let's get into it. I will share my screen with you. So I'll just make sure I got my presentation pulled up. Okay. There we go. Okay, so as I promised last time, we talked about pre-workout nutrition. So now we're going to talk about post-workout nutrition. So fueling for recovery. So both are so important. So that's why I gave them each their own separate topic. So now we're just going to focus on what to eat after a workout. Okay, so we're going to cover what to eat, when to eat, some special considerations. We're going to, go over protein powders because I feel like that can be sort of a hot topic. And then we have some kind of questions sprinkled throughout like we did last time. So with these questions, you can either put them in the chat, you can put your answers in the chat, or you can just write them down or just think of them. And then if there's any questions about them, we'll go over them at the end, but the answers are going to be in here as well. Okay. So let's start with a true or false question. So true or false? You only need protein after a workout. Is that true or false? Give you just a minute. If you want to put it in the chat, go ahead. All right, so that answer is false. You need protein and carbs to properly refuel. So I feel like the question could have been taken both ways. So you only need protein after a workout. That could mean you only need just protein, or it could mean you only need protein just after a workout. But we'll also talk about why we also need protein at different times than just after a workout too. But for specifically what we're eating after a workout, we're going to need protein and carbs. So let's talk about first why we might eat after a workout. I feel like we sort of know, or we've sort of heard that you should eat after a workout, but have you ever wondered why you're told that or why you're supposed to? So here's a few reasons why eating after a workout is important. So first is the purpose to refuel your body. So during a workout, your body uses the energy from carbs, and that stored energy is called glycogen. So you might hear me say that a couple times. So that's just energy that is stored in your muscles and in your liver that your body uses when you're working out. And so after a workout, we want to replace that stored up fuel and give ourselves, like, top it off. So top off sort of the tank so that we don't run out the next time that we're working out or just for the rest of our day. So that's one of the purposes, is to replenish that fuel. And the second reason is to build muscle. And this might not be everyone's goal, that's totally fair, but this is an important part of why we eat after a workout if this is a goal of yours. And while we work out, we do break down muscle a little bit. So even if your goal isn't to build or bulk up, it is important to just sort of repair or rebuild what we have broken down, which is kind of part of our last point, which is to protect our body and prevent injury. So if we don't refuel after a workout, we are at a higher risk for breaking down more muscle than we gain, which can put us at risk for injury in the future. Okay. So now let's chat about exactly what to eat after a workout. I feel like that's kind of important information. So we're going to want to focus mostly on protein and carbs. And of course, we don't want to forget about hydration. So we're going to focus more on protein afterwards generally, as this is what's going to help rebuild and repair your muscles to prevent injury and to possibly build muscle or bulk up. And in some notes, just like in research and in journals, it says that about 20 grams of protein is optimal to eat shortly after a workout. But we also need carbs to help refuel your body and build up those glycogen stores that I just mentioned for the next time that you work out and just for, everyday action. So then lastly, like we've talked about, hydration and properly rehydrating after a workout will aid in recovery and help keep your body functioning properly. So liquids can also provide, a quick and convenient source of carbs, protein, and or electrolytes if you go with something like chocolate or white milk or a sports drink. So water would probably be our first choice, but if you also want to get some extra nutrients, then there's a few options that you have that also kind of go along with hydration. All right, so we got another question for you. So which of these foods pictured here is a protein food? So which of these foods contains protein or is a majority protein? So we've got our first option is oats. Our second option is corn. Our third option is yogurt. And our fourth option is chocolate. So which of these foods is a protein food? You can write down your answers or tell it to someone sitting beside you. Give you one more second if you want to put it in the chat. Okay.
We're just gonna stop one.
All right, so we're back. Okay, so the answer of which of these is a protein food, you got some extra time to think about it, is the answer is yogurt. So yogurt is a protein food and it often contains carbs as well. So it can kind of serve a double purpose if you need it to. All right. Then let's look at a few examples of what 20 grams of protein looks like with food. So these examples will also have the carbs that we mentioned, which are also important after a workout. These examples will be perfect for longer workouts or, more intense or harder workouts or training or competition days. Like I said just a couple minutes ago.
Sorry, that was me.
Okay. I'll just go back. Do you need anything from here, Erin?
Sorry about that. You should be good to go.
All right.
Stick it back up.
All right, so back to our examples. So like we just were talking about 20 grams of protein is enough to eat after a workout. Any more than that might not actually be efficient and it wouldn't likely be any more beneficial than just around that 20 grams. Some people might need a little bit more. So, we could say 20 grams, give or take a few grams would also be acceptable. But it sort of just depends on your metabolism and no one really knows exactly what that's going to be like or what works for your body more than you. So you'll have to listen to your body too, but around 20 grams is totally cool. So let's look at these examples here. So we have, first of all, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with 2 slices of whole grain bread, with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and a tablespoon of jam, and a cheese string. So we've got our carbs with the whole grain bread and with the jam. And then with the peanut butter and the cheese string, we have some protein. And actually, there's some protein in the whole grain bread, which will have a bit more than just rye or white bread. So that would be one that would have about 20 grams of protein in it. And we've got a nice amount of carbs in there to help refuel. Our second example over here is about 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt, and that's flavored Greek yogurt. So it has maybe some fruit on the bottom or it has like a vanilla flavor because that'll have a bit more carbs than like a plain yogurt. And also Greek yogurt has more protein than regular yogurt. Not that it's not that you couldn't go for a regular yogurt, it would just have a little bit less protein in it. So you might need a little bit more. Or if you're okay with having less protein, you can also just stick with 3/4 of a cup. And you might throw like a 1/4 cup of nuts on there or on the side or something like that. So that would be another example of something that would have some carbs with some protein. And then the other example, sort of to the side here, is about 1/3 of a cup of diced cheese. So just like cheese cut into cubes or something like that, with 1 hard boiled egg and 1 to 2 handfuls crackers. So we have our protein with the cheese and the egg, and then we have some carbs with the crackers. So those are all examples on the top of about 20 grams of protein with some carbs. So on the bottom, we have some examples of smaller snacks that you could have after like a shorter workout or a lighter workout or just like a really casual workout. So we have a little bit of protein, so not 20 grams, but just a source of protein plus a source of carbs. So like an apple and peanut butter or a yogurt cup and fruit, or like a granola bar and a cheese string. Those would be examples of just a little bit smaller snacks, but they give you sort of what you need still. Okay, so now let's chat about when to eat. So ideally, we would eat up like less than 60 minutes, so less than an hour after your workout. Some people aren't super hungry right after a workout, so either focus on maybe just like a light snack or a drink that is carbs and protein, like our milk or chocolate milk, or give yourself a little time and try to make a goal to eat within 30 to 60 minutes afterwards. And protein absorption and use in the body is optimal within that 60 minutes after a workout. But it is important to also be mindful of your overall protein intake. So we are in this presentation, we're putting a lot of emphasis on, the protein right after a workout, but it's more efficient to spread your protein intake out over the day and have equal amounts of protein at each meal than it is to load up on protein all at one meal or one snack and then hardly have any protein with the other snacks or meals in the day. And your body's also repairing and recovering for like up to 2 days after a tough workout. So up to 48 hours after a tough workout. So you need to keep giving it nutrients that whole time. And so, yeah, so it would be important to, yes, have that snack with 20 grams of protein after your workout, but then also make sure that we're having enough protein at the rest of our meals or the rest of our snacks in that day. Okay, now couple of considerations. So just for your own knowledge. So let's just talk about sort of what our plan might be if we went from a cardio workout or if we went from like a strength workout. So when you do a cardio workout, you're going to use up more of your glycogen stores. So that stored up carbohydrates in your muscle and your liver, you're going to use up more of that when you're doing a longer endurance workout than you would with like a quick or intense sort of strength training or weightlifting workout. So after a long endurance or cardio workout, you'll likely need some protein to help rebuild your muscles and repair your muscles, but you'll also probably want to put more emphasis on carbs to help refuel those carb stores that you just used up. So emphasis on carbs, still with some protein. So that might look like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with fruit instead of the cheese string. So that would up your carbs and lower your protein a little bit. Now, with like a strength training workout or a weightlifting session, you'll want to put a little bit more emphasis on the protein, but still include some carbs. So you would maybe stick to the 20 grams of protein example. So like the peanut butter and jam sandwich with the cheese string. All right, next we got a true or false. So true or false, you need protein powders to gain muscle. Do you think that's true or false? Give you a second if you want to share your answer, or just write it down or just think about it. Okay. So that is also false. You can get enough protein from food. Protein powders aren't the only thing that are going to help you gain muscles. So let's dive into protein powders just a little bit. So The first question that we should answer is, are they really necessary? And I would say that no, they are not. And they can be like kind of expensive. So most protein powders give a lot of protein that might not be used very well by your body if the serving contains more than 20 or 25 grams of protein. So we could instead concentrate on food sources of protein and concentrate on spreading it out during the day, um, with sort of that one purposeful serving of protein and carbs right after your workout. There might be some instances where protein powders or drinks could be helpful. And that might be like if you don't have access to food for a while, or if there isn't a fridge available or somewhere cold to keep your food, if that's the only snacks you had. So sometimes they can be helpful if it's more accessible or just more convenient for you. But if you're really wanting to build muscle, and by that I mean like bodybuilding, you would probably want to talk to a dietitian to get individualized advice as to how to make a plan to spread out your protein intake optimally. And that might then end up making use of protein powders, but it might not. So you could still probably do most of it with just food. And one last thing on protein powders is the safety of them. We recommend to look for a check mark or an NSF certified safe for sport check mark that identifies which products have been tested for safety to make sure that there's no other materials or ingredients that shouldn't be in there, because that can be a concern, especially for competing athletes. But in general, protein powders, I would say, are not going to be super necessary, unless it's just something individual that you need, but generally not. We can usually do it with just food intake. All right, and last piece of advice, and this is just in general since we are wrapping up here together. If you feel like you have lots of questions about nutrition, or you feel like your nutrition plan isn't really supporting your performance or your health goals, I'd really recommend that you meet with a dietitian, possibly a sports dietitian. I know in Winnipeg, there would be plenty of options. You can always ask your doctor for a referral to a dietitian, or check out the WRHA or the Dietitians of Canada website as well. One other place would maybe be the College of Dietitians of Manitoba website. So those might be some options just in case you are ever wondering about that. All right, so that's the end of our chat today. Thank you so much, guys. I'll just stop the share and I'll come back to you. Whew, there we go. We did it.